Okay, the final part is just making this exercise spreadsheet a bit more robust. One of the problems, in fact the problem with this spreadsheet, is that this works, and it works fine for now. The problem is we've got 4 weeks worth of data here. Week 3 and week 4 are not filled in. As it comes to week 4, it will fill in week 4, and then we'll get values in each of these cells, 1, 2, 3 and 4. But the following week, we go into the next period, period 2, week 1. So you put period 2, weeks 1 data in week 1, it will appear here, but you will still have period 1, week 2's, week 3's, and week 4's here. So it'll add period 2, week 1, period 1, week 2, period 1, week 3, period 1, week 4 to give you the values. And that won't be period 2's, that won't give you the right data for period 2, because in period 2 we're only in week 1, so we only want that value. So what we want to do, and that will work the same for the quarters and the period figures here as well on the other spreadsheet. We want to know what period and what week we're in. So how do we get around that? Well, we have to have a bit of user input because there isn't any easy way from this information to tell what week it is or even what period it is, let alone what quarter it is. So we need to get some user input. So this is where the validation comes in. So we can have a box here just saying period. In fact, we did another one in front of that saying week, period, and quarter. We're going to create a list. So the first list is going to be the weeks. In fact, it's also going to be the quarters because there's also 4 quarters in a year. Period 1, and then create a period list like so. I'm just going to drag that down to go to period 13. So we just create a validation in that one. And we want 4 weeks to be at that period. We want more validation, create a list like so, and then the quarter we can actually use the same list as we use for the weeks. Voila. So just going to create a nice, make it, tart it up a bit. And just make that a different color just to say it's user input. We'll go for blue. Okay, so what the user has to do is just tell the spreadsheet what week we're in. We're going to be in week 1. What period we're in this case, we're in week 1. Period 1. And what quarter we're in quarter 1. So how does that help? So what we can do now is if we've just unhidden this. So what we want to do, we only want to add these sheets up if it is in week 1. If it's in week 2, we want to add the first 2. If it's week 3, we want to add the first 3. So how do we do that? Well, it comes down to the good old if statement. So if we start with if, the logical test is going to be if that week is greater or equal to week 1, then we want to know what that data is in week 1 spreadsheet, which is just the data we just already created. If it isn't, then just make it a 0. In fact, we're going to anchor that. In fact, rather than anchoring it, what I'm going to do is actually just name it. So I'm going to go to insert on the toolbar, name, define, and you'll see actually I have already done that. Wow, done it. So that's fine. So that's actually already called the week. I want to insert another name for that one. Name, define, period. I'm going to name that one So that's now your period, and that one's going to be the quarter, which is already done. So if I go back to my formula, instead of putting A3 anchor, if week is greater than 1, then includes this figure, because we want week 1's figure. I'm going to do the same with this one. If week is greater than equal to 2, then do that, what we've just done, and the same for this one. If week is greater than equal to 3, use the data. If not, make it a 0. And the same with this one. If week is greater or equal to 4, use that data. If not, use 0. So what's that doing? All it says is if week is 1, include that data, which is great because we want that. If week is 1, we don't want this data, even though it's empty at the moment. In fact, let's populate it with some pseudo data. Copy week 1's into week 2's. In fact, we might as well complete it with week 3's. So we've actually got 4 sets of the same data, but pretend they're different weeks. So it's added all those up, but it's only added up week 1's because week 1 is greater than or equal to 1. If we change that to 2, we are now in week 2. We want to include the week 2's data. And if we wanted to change it to week 3, because now we're in P2 week 3, those 3 week 1's and week 2's and week 3's are all valid, but week 4's data is still period 1, week 4. So we don't want to include that in the period 2 period to date. So that's the way we do that. Obviously, you would have done this at the start, because now I've got to go and paste the same formulas for everything else. But I broke it down in different sections, because if I started typing that whole big formula in one go, it may have been not clear as to why I was doing it. So that's why we've done it. But even so, it's still not that much of a hassle, because I've created the formulas pretty robustly, so I can just literally just copy and paste. Did that work for that one? To do that one? No, let's paste that one. And that one. I'll just make that number. So that's work for those. So again, if I change, let's go off the screen, to week 2, I'm only including the first 2 weeks worth of data. It's adding that up, but it is adding those up, but those are 0, so it doesn't mean much. So we've got 2 weeks worth of data, 2 weeks worth of data, 2 weeks worth of data. And I'm not going to hide it because I want to copy it down. So we just need to do the same for the quarters. Now this one's going to be slightly different. Let's start with this one. It is looking up P1 figures here based on that value there. So as the period changes, we want that value to change. So when instead of changing the formula, all I'm going to do is just change that header, because these formulas are already looking up that data. So instead of putting P1 there, all I need to do is put period, which at the moment is period 1. But if I change period to period 2, the header changes, and therefore the data changes. Easy peasy. And I'm guessing there's no data for period 2. No, there's not. But if there was, in fact, let's again just test it. So that's Chesterfield, because that's at the start. We'll put some fake data in, 500. So that should, for Chesterfield, be Chesterfield 500. We go back to period 1. It works. Now we need to do the same for the quarter 1 target. have a quarter 1, our quarter is just the number 1. So what we can do here is use what we learned with adding text symbols together. So again, all that is doing is getting that data based on what's in that cell, because we use match to match that. So we change that, it will look for a different column. So let's do that. So we want to have the text. The first one is Q. Now we want to ampersand that together with that number, which we've called quarter. Quarter. Now we want to ampersand join that together with a space and target, I think the word was. No. Yeah. So when I change the quarter, now we're in quarter 2, for example. It changes the title to quarter 2 and pulls up again. I'm guessing there's no information in quarter 2's target. No, there isn't. So as and when that gets populated in, so just copy the new sheet, paste it over the top of this one, and it will automatically fill the data in. And that's it. That's using a lot of what we already learned individually, just showing how you would use it in a real life example. The only thing you need to do now is just to, in fact, you don't actually need to copy those down because we didn't change the actual formulas, we just changed these formulas. We only changed that heading, like so. And like so. Like so. Like so. So. Just put it down. Put it down slightly off screen, but trust me, what I'm doing is just pulling it down. Right, so in fact, we do need to make one change. We just need to change those headings as well. Right, so finally we just need to hide all the extra data. We could have it unhidden if you wish. Particular area manager wants to see what it was week by week. That is absolutely fine. It's their spreadsheet. They can use it however they see fit. Hide, hide, and hide. And just to be anal, we're going to hide those as well. So that is the spreadsheet summing up 4 weeks worth of data plus some target info data into one easy and quick sheet. So all the area managers need to do is copy the new data, open it up in Excel, paste it onto this sheet. It will overwrite all that data, and then voila. The final, probably the only immediate thing I can see wrong with this is the addition of new stores, because I've manually typed these stores in. So every time you get a new store, you would have to manually type it into the area. So you just do an insert, put the store name, store number, and the store name in, and then copy these formulas down one line. But that's not going to happen that often. So it shouldn't be too much of a hassle. And that's it. That is really all there is to it. And that's using a lot of what we've already learned in the individual spreadsheets, using the matches, the index, and we haven't used index matches, lookups, combining text values, ifs, etc., etc. So, and validations. And that's how I use Excel. Thank you very much. Hope you found it useful.